Because it's gonna. I'll check everything on the
Hey, everybody out there in TV land, if you can hear me, thank you so much for tuning in. We are actually getting started here. There we go. We're live. I'll let Peter scoot over.
God, what is that lovely scent of soap you have in the bathroom?
I don't know. So we are live. We're good?
YouTube, Facebook,
And Twitter. All right, guys. So appreciate you tuning in. We were just doing some trial and error with our restream. We are actually streaming right now on our Instagram account, on our Twitter, on our YouTube, on our Facebook, and on our Twitch account, which is Flynn's Arcade FL. We are starting, as I made some announcements previously, we are starting TCG here at Flynn's, specifically Magic the Gathering. We are going to be doing our first draft night with Phyrexia, but I'll let Peter talk about that more. That's going to go down on Thursday. So we're introducing more Magic the Gathering content to the Flynn's family because we have all this room and this space and the awesome players. So we said, you know what the heck, might as well jump straight into it and get that started here sooner than later. So like I said, guys, I introduced Peter in previous videos on Instagram and social media. Peter's going to be running our Magic the Gathering and hopefully TCG in general as we dive into Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon and all that other stuff. But we're going to start with Magic because he knows a lot about it, and you've been playing it for quite a while.
Yeah, I've been playing it for about 5-6 years now, on and off throughout the years, having terrible teachers throughout it. And you sit down and learn it so you can teach others, you know?
So what we're going to do, guys, is if you want to get your phone out so you can monitor the stream, the chat on the Instagram thing. So, guys, if you have questions or comments, by all means, feel free to ask them. We do have the chat through Restream for Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Twitch. And then Peter's going to be monitoring the Instagram chat from our live feed as well. So if you have people in your group or you're in your circle that like Magic the Gathering, or maybe you're thinking about learning to play and you want to join it or want to join into the game, come on out.
Yeah.
We have tons of play space, and we have the cards as well. Peter's got an interesting lineup for you today, but I'm going to let Peter take the show because of the mere fact that you guys probably are tired of seeing my face all the time, so I figured, heck, we'll introduce a new component into the Flynn's family. So I'll let Peter take it from here. If you have questions, it's going to be a good stream. And is there anything you want to say, Peter, before I head out?
Aside from trying to think of any announcements or anything like that, we've covered the draft happening at 7.
7 p.m. on Thursday. We're going to talk about that a lot more, or he'll talk about that a lot more as well.
Yes. And then a little bit about what this is, but I'll cover that. I'm trying to think of anything with you particular here.
I think that's pretty much it with everything. And guys, we are here at Flynn's, we're all about community and creating a very comfortable environment for everybody to learn regardless of your skill level. I'm not going to name some shops, but you walk into some stores and it's like you get ostracized because you don't know the game.
Yeah.
Or you're not as good as other players, or you don't have the latest and greatest cards. So here at Flynn's, we're going to do it totally different. Everybody's welcome, regardless of whether or not you know how to play the game. We got the draft night on Thursday. We are going to, if you want to buy, sell, and trade amongst each other, you can. We're not going to stop you from doing that. We do have snacks, drinks, beer, wine, seltzers, and ciders for those over 21. And we have the product, and hopefully getting into proxies a little later in terms of proxy printing and all that kind of stuff. And no hate against any other shops or anything like that. But, we like to really just make it just different.
Yeah.
In the best way we possibly can. So if you have ideas along the way or along the journey, by all means, let Peter know, let me know, let the community know, and we will take it in whatever direction we can. And then also, what I was going to say is before I let Peter take the stream over, join our Discord. The link's in our bio. Discord is a great way to communicate.
Yeah, I'm on it almost every day. I go in and check in on it and see what's new. I try and post as much Magic such as I can. And as we grow this, I'll definitely be jumping into the Pokemon and the other TCGs. One Piece, I'm not even sure what the game community is. I see that as more of just a collectible part.
Well, there is, yeah. I know of one convention that's going to run a One Piece tournament.
Oh.
So, it's coming. They haven't announced it formally yet, so that's why I don't want to I don't want to announce it. You
Right.
know? So they haven't announced it formally yet. But I do know One Piece tournament is coming for a particular convention.
And one day I'll learn it so we can all play it here. But
In the meantime, we'll start with Magic the Gathering just to make it easier on everybody.
yes.
And we have the latest and greatest, the newest set, which is Phyrexia. Right? I'm pronouncing it correct?
Yes, Phyrexia all will be one.
All will be one, and we're going to
Which?
switch the stream so you guys can see it. And we're just getting used to this stuff over here, so we got to go to here. There you go. So we have the Phyrexia box, the newest one. It is sealed, and Peter's going to walk you through it. So anyways, guys, love you a lot, and by all means, I'll be back a little later, going to work on a few other things, and I'll let Peter take it from here. No, that's the desktop, so still get it. And then
there you
remember,
go.
you got to, if you want to change that, which you don't really need to,
No.
it's up to you whether or not you want to change it. So
Yeah.
anyways, guys, I leave you in good hands. I will catch you later.
Yep.
I'll be monitoring the chat, so be nice.
Alrighty.
And you change the screen for the
Which guy?
vertical,
vertical?
scene,
Yes. What the hell? There we go.
the top one.
Top one.
There you go.
Boom. All right. So, good evening. Evening? Yes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today for you, we're going to do a nice little stream here for Magic the Gathering box break to kind of start us out, get us into the world that is Magic the Gathering, get us interested in loving the game. So we're going to jump over to the other stream. Hey, look at that. We're learning. We're learning, ladies and gentlemen. So, this right here is from the newest set, Magic the Gathering Phyrexia All Will Be One. This is the set booster. There are multiple type of booster boxes and packs you can get while playing Magic the Gathering. There's also the draft booster, which is what we'll be using on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. If you come on down, we're going to start with Phyrexia All Will Be One, but we have other packs that we can get into if anyone's ever interested. You just got to let me know. Good evening, David. I am David Semine. Hope I got that right. So, we've got the, what was I saying? Draft boosters. We got draft boosters so we can do drafts and such. This is what they look like. We do have them on sale here at Flynn's. We have to still work out the pricing, but you can always come and get them, and they are here available for you. So come on in when you get a chance to pick some up, so you can do some drafting with us. And we're going to start out by cracking this bad boy open. Close enough. I'll take it. How many people we got with us today? I see 3 via Instagram, but we're not worried about view counts here. We're just trying to open a box. You got a knife?
No, I don't have a knife on me.
I got keys. We'll get this box open, ladies and gentlemen. I promise you that. You know, this is probably the most entertaining part of the stream. Watching me struggle. Hope y'all like the profile view in my head. Wolf Monkey, how you doing today? All right. So, we have our, oh, sweet baby rays. Will you open? There we go. All right. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Phyrexia All Will Be One, brand new set booster box. Look at that. Look at that. Got the lovely topper here, meeting Ellis Norn. I have a nice head. Okay. Never thought I'd get that compliment in my life, but I'll take it. Got more people coming on in. How's everyone doing tonight? So we got here the Phyrexia All Will Be One boosters, but I wanted to actually take a second to see if we can. Oh, good lordy, where is it? There it is. Let's take a look at what is in the packs. So we're going to go over to a new tab. We're going to open up Magic the Gathering real quick. And then we're going to go to what's a set. I'm going to drop it on down. We're going to go to just trying to see what those chase cards are that we're going to be looking for today while we're going through the Magic the Gathering Phyrexian LB1. You know, I've been saying it to so many people, you think I'd have it down pat by now, but it's only been out a week. So we're still relatively ahead of the game, at least for my schedule. But other than that, how's everyone doing tonight? Doing good? Well, I'm trying to find this here. While I give you a tease with the lovely packs, just taunting you, staring at you, taking them out one by one. Scrolling down here to try and find this thing. Oh, good lordy. All right, we are looking for the set packs. You know what? I'm not here to take up everyone's time. I'm here to show y'all some cool cards, and we're going to do it like they did it back in the old days. We're just going to open some packs and see what cool stuff we can find, all right? That's how I like to do it. That's how you're going to like to do it, and that's how we're going to do it. So, push this off to the side a little bit. We're going to need to bring this in just a tad. Oop, too much. Too much. There we go. Oh, look at it. And let's get her going with set number 1. All right, so make sure of something right quick. Okay. So they're upside down. Every set booster comes with 1 art card and a token. So we're going to try and keep these little, keep them up here, separated out for everything. Because I know the wife, when I get home, is going to lose her freaking mind here. So, will we be doing Friday Night Magic? We will not be doing Friday Night Magic. We will be starting out doing Thursday nights. We'll be holding drafts. So you can come on down. We'll start with Phyrexia LB1. We have them all set and ready to go. We're going to be doing it for $15 for the draft with a 7-3-1-1 prize pool. So if you come on down, we'll be able to play a few with you and would love to see everyone come on out. With that said, so what do we got starting out here? We have a Phyrexian foil blight belly rat. Toxic and proliferate. Oh my lordy, I just saw it was underneath there. Ooh, did I start this upside down? That's fine. All right. For those who are unaware, the Toxic one in the set. Toxic plays a lot like Infect for anyone who is in the into the old school way of playing. Infect was you could deal combat damage to a player or a creature. If you dealt it to a creature, you get a -1/-1 counter, and if you dealt it to a player, they would get 1 poison counter. In Magic, your goal is to knock everyone down from 20 life to 0. There are other ways to win, but clearly that's the starting out point. And with Toxic, it's kind of like Infect, where you get that poison counter, and when you get up to 10 poison counters, you win the game. You get your opponent up to 10 poison counters, you win the game. So, this is the just a little simple dirtler. It's great in drafts. Something to keep in mind when you come on in. If you're in black, you want to keep your eye out for the blight belly rat. He's very good in this set. So enough about a common. Let's talk about. Oh, see, I'm shaking. Look at that. Oh, such an amazing card. I'm already antsy. How's everyone doing jumping on in today? Glad to see you. Glad to see you. Here we have the completed Nissa Ascended Animus. Let's see if I can zoom in just a touch more, try and get the wording on the card a little clearer there. Okay, there we go. Oh my lord, I need a manicure. Stop sliding away. All right. So if you can't really see it clearly, I'll go ahead and give it a read for you. We have Nissa, the Ascended Animus. She is 3 green and 2 green Phyrexian mana. Can be completed, meaning that you can pay 2 life for those Phyrexian symbols. And she'll come in with that many less loyalty counters. Her +1 ability, you'll create a token equal to her loyalty counters down here. Her -1 ability is a disenchant, destroying a target artifact or enchantment. And her -7 gives everything an overrun ability. Till end of turn, you get +1/+1 for each force you control, and everything gains trample. So very powerful card, super massive bomb in draft. So again, something to keep your eye out for if you're coming on down. So I personally would love to build a mono green around this, but we're looking for a little more support in standard. Big standard player here, but definitely going to be happy about having that in my collection. Holy Lord, what is that? All right, next up, Necrogen Rot Priest. It's got that toxic we were talking about. For each number next to toxic, that's how many poison counters a player would get. So something to keep in mind. This one is whenever a creature you control with toxic deals combat damage to a player, that player gets an additional poison counter. So you can give one of your creatures with toxic death touch. It's a 1/5. Personally, I don't know how great it's going to do, but it's a beautiful looking card, and we have those packs and everything here at Flynn's for you. All right, next up is Atrax's Skitterfang. So this one comes in with oil counters. There's another big mechanic in the set. Things have interactions with oil counters, ways to get them, ways to remove them. If you've played Magic, you've played with counters of some kind before. This is just another way of those. How you doing, everybody coming on in today? Happy to see you. This one in particular, you can remove one of those oil counters from it, and you give something else, either Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, or Lifelink. All good, very good abilities to have. Good way to keep pressure on the opponent when they have a wall up of creatures. So a decent pickup in draft if you have nothing else crazy going on. Next up, Cephalopod Century. Flying, 4 mana, 2 white, blue. Power equal to the number of artifacts you control. Not, from what I recall, not a ton of artifacts going around right now. There's a bit, especially in those colors, clearly. But a nice little flyer. If you need a big body up in the air, it's got 5 blocking power. So if you're in the white-blue, keep your eye out for it. The Ambulatory Edifice is an excellent card in draft. It's 3/2. Paying that 2 life to get rid of one of their little 1 toughness creatures is something that is very relevant in this particular draft environment. I'm trying to give everyone who's going to be coming on down to the draft nights at Flynn's starting this Thursday for $15. Get your packs. Great prize pool. Come on down. Love to see you. But we have just some solid removal on a decent body. Can keep beating face when it goes out the door. Just heard an alarm go off. Now we get into the commons. Just some good ones to keep your eyes out. Some good ones to keep your eyes on. How's it going, Nick Knack? Good to see you. Mandible Justicular, nothing. Justicular? We're going to say that's the name. Has lifelinks 2/1, and whenever another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +1/+1. Again, not a whole ton of artifacts. There's a good amount. There's a little more than an average standard set because of what Phyrexia is, but, I mean, it's good if you need a hole filled, you know? Don't take that out of context, folks. We got the Orthodoxy Enforcer, Vigilance, 2/4 for 4 mana. Gets +2/+0 if you control 2 or more artifacts. One thing to keep in mind with set boosters, you'll notice a lot of the cards I'm pulling all seem to have similarity to them. It's because with set boosters, they're trying to get you to pull more of the rares to finish out the set quicker. So they'll have more cards in a single grouping that all work together. Soup spoon, yes, cards. Heart. So it's the set boosters are a good way if you're trying to fill up your collection, which we will have available, to come on down and just really complete that collection of yours. Complete, get it? Because of Phyrexia. See how I did it there? At some point in the future, we're going to have some tunes going on in the background, so my sultry, dulcet tones aren't the only thing you're hearing. But if everyone's enjoying it, we'll put more in, It's what it does. It's how it works. So, next up, we have the Meld Web Curator. Enters the battlefield, put one target instant or sorcery from the graveyard on top of it. 4 mana, 3/4, looks good. Volt Charge. Deals 3 damage to any target and you proliferate. Proliferate, if I haven't already said it, if something has a counter on it, when you proliferate, you can add another counter to it. Whether that's planeswalkers, whether that's players, whether that's creatures, you cannot remove them, and you cannot add multiples at a time, but for every instance of proliferate, you just get 1 extra counter of that kind. Which that's what these lovely little reminder texts on the card all say as well. So, but solid removal if you're in red. 3 damage to any target is also a good way to end the game if you need be, and it has proliferate as an upside to it. So, next up, Ichor Synthesizer. Great card in draft. If you're in blue, you want to keep your eye on this card, see if you can manage to activate it all the way. Because whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you're going to put an oil counter on it. As long as it has 4 or more, it can't be blocked, and it becomes a 3/3. So a 3/3 beater that can't be blocked is going to do you pretty well. I need to turn this chair because my back is starting to kill me. Get that good stretching, Woo! All right. I feel like this camera should be over here. I'm not going to go crazy with moving it, but just something to keep in mind for later. Ooh. Oh, look at that, planes. They get excited over lands, but look at that. Can you see that shine? Oh, you can see that shine. Look at that. Oh, wife's going to love that. She will not leave me alone, I swear. She's going to want that in her deck, and then the next one's going to come out. She's going to want that one in her deck, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's keep the rare separate here. And let's move on to pack number 2. So who all here? How y'all doing today? What's going on with everyone out there in the Flynn family? Anyone else excited to come out on drafting, or if they've had any sick polls in the Phyrexia All Be One, love to hear about it. So I can get this pack open for y'all. Ooh. Oh, I didn't even mean to flip that over yet. All right. Art card. Oh. I believe that is the Phyrexian Obliterator. Let's see if I'm right. It is the Phyrexian Obliterator. That's how well I know this game. I just know this game so well, I know the alternate arts that are just streaks on a piece of paper. But then again, isn't that what all art is? So, here's what we're going to do. So, not to make anyone lose their mind, but apparently, the first card we're going to be seeing from this pack is a Phyrexian Altar. I'm not saying that's a crazy pull, but it's definitely something that is, if you're big in Commander, it's a go-in card for any of your aristocrat strategies to give you all the mana you could ever want. To pull it from the list, to give it, I think right now this is going as a $15 to $20 card at the moment. Maybe $10 because of all the reprints, but still, it'll creep its way back up as, even though there's more printings out there on the market, they'll slowly work their way back. But a beautiful card nonetheless, and great to have in your collection, especially if you're big into Commander. We have the Transplant Theorist foil, 2/4, 3 in a blue. Whenever Transplant Theorist enters or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Then you put a target creature. That's not what it says. Hold on. I need to learn to read. Pay 2 mana, put target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. So a good way to constantly refill your hand if you have ways to search for things. Good card to have. But the important part here is that entering the artifacts and then letting you loot. I don't know if for 4 mana that's worth it. Just my opinion. You can do whatever you want. I just wouldn't recommend it myself. Ha ha ha. Come to a rare. Okiba? Okika? Ovika. That one sounds right. We're going to go with Ovika. Ovika. It's a weird setup. We're going to need that camera for future videos for this particular bit, probably like right here. But
You can adjust. Like you want it like that, or
is it on that camera? Oh, it's not even going from that camera. Oh, it's going from you. Oh, no wonder.
oh, okay, because yeah, it's the other camera.
Okay.
But this was the one that you and Eddie was using.
Yeah. Okay. So future reference, we're gonna make sure it's on different cameras.
Okay.
I was talking to the camera. Anyway, so back to the card. Ovika, Enigma Goliath, 6/6 for 7 mana. Has Ward 3. Ward is like hexproof. You have to pay 3 additional mana to target or interact with it at all, and pay 3 life. So it does not want to die, surprisingly enough, or be messed with. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create X11s. Create X11 red Phyrexian Goblin creature tokens, where X is the mana value of that spell. They gain haste until the end of turn. So you create a bunch of goblins that you swing in fast and hard with all sorts of different things. Okay, I can't do it. You gotta come over here. Come here. Come here. There you go. Okay. All right, guys. All right. Hold on. Technical difficulties, everybody. Here we go. Yep, there we go. Oh, yeah. Still getting used to the setup, everyone. Oh, just bear with me. Oh, that is so much better. My back even feels better now. Look at that. Okay, so now that we've got the stream properly lined up, if you pull this in draft, play it in draft. It doesn't matter what. If you're in your second pack near the end, if you're in your third pack, you're done. You're shifting into this, and if you have the color, if you have even one of the colors already, you're going to splash for the red, you're going to splash for the blue. You definitely want to play this card, and I'm still looking at the wrong camera. It's you. You go away. You definitely want to take a look at this card. Make sure it stays in your deck, because it's a bomb. Once you play it, you're done. I know. Quicksilver Fisher. 4/3 for 5. Has flying. Whenever it enters the battlefield, draw a card, then discard a card. A 4/3 in the air ain't bad. And then letting you draw a card and kind of get stuff new in your hand is always a good feeling. See a bunch of people jumping in to join. Hope you're enjoying this first little box break here at Flynn's Arcade. We'll be having draft nights, just a little reminder, Thursday, 7 p.m. Starting this Thursday, the 23rd, 7 p.m., $15 gets you in the door, you get your packs, we'll sit on down, draft some cards. We have a prize pool of 7311 as the rounds go on, so you could win big and get a chance to open up some nice packs. They will be draft boosters. Keep in mind, so don't get upset if you don't get sets. So back to the cards. We have Urabrask's Anointer, a 4/2 for 4. When it enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of permanents you control with oil counters on them. So if you've got an oil counter strategy, you clearly want this card in the deck. Sometimes Magic is just that simple. It's just that easy. It's just that easy. All right. Next up, we have the Ravenous Necro Titan. It is a 4-mana 6/6. If you can't tell by the rest of the things I've pointed out, that's a really good rate. When it enters the battlefield, you'll have to sacrifice a creature unless an opponent has 3 or more poison counters. If you are heavy in the poison, you're going to want this card. It's just going to go in the deck. If you're not heavy on the poison and you're in black, you still want to play it, but you definitely want to make sure you have things in your deck you're willing to sacrifice to get a big body on the field. So it's definitely one of the higher tier cards to keep your eye out for when drafting this set. And if you have any questions, you can always hit me up on the Discord. You can ask me my opinion on some cards, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Speaking of which, anyone else joining on Twitch or any of the other platforms, good to see you too. If you're watching on the Instagram or the TikToks, we did get those up, right?
Yeah.
No? Okay, never mind. You're only watching on Instagram. But if you're doing it there, you can always jump over to Twitch.
IG, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook.
IG, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. I think Facebook has the big layout. Yes, it does. So Instagram, you can go to any of those. Check out the bio. Then you can see it big screen. With that said, we're going to get back to the cards. Vat Emergence. 5 mana. Put a target creature from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. If you like reanimating in your commander decks, this is more the home for that. It's a good card for draft, but it'll do you better in a commander deck to grab something out of your opponent's bin, out of your bin, anywhere you want. And you can proliferate as well. So if you're running lots of planeswalkers, or you're also doing poison, or something like that. But this, I feel, has a better home in commander than it does in constructed, because the cost is way too high for any constructed aside from commander. The ability to grab something out of your opponent's graveyard is always a fun one. So remember, reading the card tells you what the card does. That A is a very important one. Instead of your graveyard, it's a graveyard. So something to keep an eye out for. We have the Vat of Rebirth. Whenever another artifact or creature you control is put onto the battlefield from the graveyard, you put an oil counter on it. You can tap 3 and remove 4 oil counters from this and return a target creature card from the graveyard to the battlefield. Nice little way to keep the graveyard shenanigans going if you're into that sort of thing. For 1 mana, it's an artifact. You've seen some others that have that kind of synergy going on with it, with either non-creature spells or artifact things or counters. So there's plenty of ways to interact with this. So just things to keep in mind when you're going along doing a draft. Font of Progress. Enters the battlefield with 2 oil counters on it. You pay 3, tap, target player mills cards, X cards, where X is the number of oil counters on the Font of Progress. Free from the Flesh. We're kind of just going to fly through the commons here because, to be honest, there's nothing really that jumps out at common. And we all know that when we do these box breaks and stuff, we're here to see the pretty mythics and the rares. So, not going to bore everyone with the Offer Immortality to give something Death Touch and that, or the thing that gives things flying and toxic. But look at that land. Holy moly. I don't know if I could swear on here. Nah? Nah. Well, good to be mindful of. Look at that shine. But anywhoozle, 2 packs down. All right. What do we got next? We've got an art card for something. That is spooky, though. Look at that. It's got the tall heads hanging on the side. Whew. All right. So, we're going to try and move... What the heck's going on here? Oh, it's a mite. All right. So, we've got the Cranker Bloom, Phyrexian Fungus, 2 mana, 3/2. You can pay 1, sacrifice it, and destroy a target artifact, enchantment, or proliferate. All great abilities, excellent in there. Oh no, you can't get a good view of it. There you go. How's everyone doing today? See a few people joining on in. It's good to see you. But the art on that is insane. But if you're looking for a 2-mana 3/2 beater, great card, very good utility right now. The Blood Tithe Harvester, big card in the meta right now in Standard. It's a red and a black, 3/2, creates an artifact when it comes in. This one can help you remove things. There was a Thrashing Brontodon that was a 3/4 back in M19, Ixalan block, all that area. Was very heavily played as a nice beater, as well as last minute needs to remove something important. So just something to keep in mind. And then we have another Planeswalker. This time we've got Jace the Perfected Mind. He is 2 generic, a blue, and a blue Phyrexian mana. You can pay that with 2 life or a blue, and comes in, and you can either uptick him to give something -3 to its power until the next turn. You can -2, target player mills 3 cards, and then if there's 20 or more cards in a graveyard, you draw 3, otherwise you just draw a card. And then target player mills 3 times X, X being whatever you want to pump into it. So all good things to keep in mind. Very fun card to play. I've had a few people I've played up against. In the arena, I've been playing an Esper Super Friends deck that I may have stolen from MTG Goldfish, because sometimes we got stuff going on, we don't have time to brew. But I stole from them, and I've been playing it, and I will be honest, this card is a lot better than even I gave it credit for. Yeah, dropping it in and doing 4 to its minus ability to mill the opponent for 12 cards is enough to make anyone kind of do a sidestep in their thinking and wonder what's going on. In draft, if you were to do that and mill someone out for 12, you would have almost half their deck gone by the time you drop this. So you'd only have a little further to go until eventually they were just milled out of the game. And you could get a win that way. So, again, something to keep in mind in draft. Thrumming Bird, 2 mana, 1/1. It has flying, and when it deals combat damage to player, proliferate. Those counters we were talking about, able to buff it up, give additional ones as it goes. It's just a solid little beater. You can also add auras onto it, maybe get a little fancier, creative with that. So something to think about there. But beautiful artwork. Gotta love the art on that thing. I think we got this one before, actually, in the alternate art, but has Toxic 2, just something important to keep in mind. 4 mana, 1/5, not overly impressive, but for 2 Toxic, being able to hit someone in the face might be something to do. Ossification. Personally, love this card. It's been compared to an old school, I believe it was in one of the Theros blocks, Change the Rocks. And you enchant a basic land you control, and you can exile a target creature or planeswalker underneath it. It has gone and played very well in my mono-white control deck. It's one of my personal favorite inclusions from the set, and I will be playing it more next week, because we're going to do the box break this week, and as of, not next week, I'm sorry. All things permitting, every other Monday we'll be doing a stream. This one we're just doing a little box break, kind of get everyone in the feel that there's now Magic on Flynn's Gaming. But we're going to be jumping over to do Arena. And I'm going to be doing reviews of the meta every 2 weeks, kind of getting a feel for where everything's at, and then playing a few rounds of the decks on my computer or on my account, because I put a lot of money into Magic the Gathering, so let's entertain the crowds with it. So, we have a Phyrexian Soldier, 4 mana, 2/3, a little overcosted for what it is, but at the beginning of your upkeep, at the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control get +1/+1 until end of turn, and if it has Toxic, which a lot of things in this set do, it gets +2/+2. Not a bad little card if you're already running a little bit of an aggro Toxic build, or if just an aggro deck in general, that extra 1 could really get in and do some damage, so we like seeing it. The Jawbone Duelist. It is the Fencing Ace, but better. It's a strictly better version. So the Jawbone Duelist is a 2-mana 1/1 with double strike. It has the Toxic, so instead of being able to just buff it up with some auras and such, this one can get buffed up with auras, and it will deal 2 Toxic because it strikes the opponent twice. So something fun to keep in mind there. And then we've got the commons, which I told you before, we're just going to fly through because we don't necessarily want to see them. But, you know, this one, you put an oil counter on something, untap target land. You get a couple oil counters, you can remove them, discard, draw a card. This one is actually a good one to keep your eye out for, just something to keep in mind. You're not trying to pull it and it's not going to drive you anyway, but if you need support in those colors. Enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. And then if you control a permanent with oil counter, draw a card. 5 mana for a 3/4 isn't terrible in draft. The Blight Belly Rat with Toxic and Proliferate, very powerful card. Even if you just played a bunch of 2-mana 2/2s, a bunch of bears with abilities like that, you do just fine. And although it's not foil or anything shiny like that, it is a full art. It looks pretty good. So, next up, next pack. Woo! How's everyone doing tonight? Hope you all are doing well. Hope everyone's having fun, having a grand old time. We've got this beautiful art card signed by the guy who drew it, the girl who drew it. Guy? What is that? Or nada? Or not? We're gonna say it's a girl. And I hope I'm right. And if I'm not, they can come find me. So, but there it is. There's that signature. Look at that shine. All right. How you doing today? We got Super Monster Party joining us. We got J-Orbit. J-Orbit. See, I got there. How's it going tonight? Oh. Ooh. I actually had a coworker of mine just talking about this Rat King yesterday. Oh, there we go. They were just talking about this Rat King, and he was looking to buy a copy. So, you know, that's the joy of Magic, man. You talk about it with some friends. Next thing you know, you're making deals. You're wheeling and dealing. People are buying cards from you left, right, and center. Sure, you might upcharge for the something, but, you know, you get to see the pretty cards. Karu, the Rat King, because I'm not saying his full name. 3 mana, 3/3. He is Toxic 1. Other rats you control have Toxic 1. And when he enters the battlefield, you put the top 5. You look at the top 5 cards of your library, and you may reveal any number of rat cards from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom. So he is a 3 mana, 3/3 that gives everything you have Toxic and refills your hand. If you like playing rats, you now have another rat commander to choose from. Hallelujah, like you needed another one. But, needless to say, beautiful card, very nice. I don't know what that card is, but I think I do, and I want to save it. The Dragonwing Glider, for drafts, pretty solid, pretty nice. Comes in with a little 2/2 creature that even if you move the equipment, he's not going to die. It's like Living Weapon, except this one gives you a body that can actually stay. Gives flying, haste, and 2/2. The equip cost is heavy, but because it's a 5 mana 4/4 with flying and haste. Just what you got to remember. It's very solid. Nice little thing. Keep your eye out if you're in those colors. Oh. Didn't mean to jump on, but this is the same kind of art styling as the Elish Norn in the set, which is kind of what we're kind of keeping our eye out for. It's the Elish Norn, because it's the chase rare in the set, so if we can find it. But nonetheless, this is an uncommon. It's a 1 mana 1/1. You can tap things down. It's that creature in the set. You can pay a white and tap it down if your opponent has 3 or more poison counters. Good card, solid card if you're in white, I suppose, but not really something we're super looking for. The Veil of Assimilation, If it or another creature enters, or another artifact enters the battlefield under control, target creature gets +1/+1 and gains vigilance until end of turn. So a 2-mana artifact that just kind of sits there and does nothing, but eventually have upside. Not too bad. This one is affinity for artifacts. Again, artifacts not super rampant. There's not a whole lot of affinity in the set. This is a new design style that Magic is going toward, where every once in a while they're going to throw in a mechanic from somewhere else to have it shine in the set. So nothing super crazy we're looking for. We have the Infested Flesh Cutter. We've got equipped a creature gets +2/+0. Whenever it attacks, you create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature token with toxic. And instead of saying all that, I could have just shown you. Stay there. You come here. This thing. That thing. It makes that. Just a nice solid equipment. If you're going with an equipment theme in your deck, go for it. We talked about this one already, so we're not really going to talk about it again. Now we're at the commons. Don't really want to get into commons too much, but we've got a lovely flyer here, 3/3. Creates 2 colorless, creates those mites, creates the thing I just showed you. But it creates 1/1s that can't block, but they have toxic 1 on them. So you get a 3/1 on a body that flies. So if you're in white, you definitely want to grab it. Any of the tap lands that come in, you can sacrifice and draw a card. Excellent in draft. So don't be scared to grab a few more than you think you'll need, because even if it comes in tapped, that's perfectly fine. The skull bombs are all pretty good. This is one of the lower ones, if I had to give a rating to it. Letting you sack and draw a card, or sacrifice and give +2/+2 and flying to everything just to draw a card. The Mesmering Dose is something you want to really keep your eye on if you're in blue. It allows you to tap down a creature as a sleep effect, but it lets you proliferate as well. And because it allows you to proliferate, again, counters, boom, hey, get everything bigger. Look at that. So you can never have too many of those in your deck if you want to tap down your opponent's whole field. And a lovely, lovely piece of art. All right. Next pack. Pack number 4. Oh boy. So how's everyone doing out there tonight? Having a good time? Having fun? Partying heartily? I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun. Okay. I got one check. I gotta. We're gonna put me right here, and then we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna go. Huh. Boom! Looking right at the card now. We're doing it live! All right. Sure. What do we got next? We've got an art card. An art card with a bad Mamma Jam. Okay, we gotta get that off there. There we go. All right. So now, we're going to flip it over. We're gonna have Elish Norn sitting on top. That is not Elish Norn. It's a rebel. All right, just a very pretty Thirsting Roots. Let you find a basic land, put it in your hand, or proliferate. That's about it. Nothing really to it. Aha, Tyvar, Jubilant Brawler. Now this is a card that could actually do some stuff because of this line of text right here. So for 3 mana, 3/3, you get the ability to activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. So your Llanowar Elves, tap for mana. They can do that because this ability. So if you play them for 1 mana, you actually didn't lose anything. You just gained a creature that can also tap for mana. Same goes with, what's another one with Something else with an activated ability that at this moment I can't think of. But anything that involves you to tap a creature or tap that thing and it has summoning sickness on it, you can do it now. You can also keep that cycle going by plussing it and untapping a creature. You can also downtick by 2 to mill 3 cards and turn something with 2 mana value or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. So this is maybe something with a little bit of ramp capabilities to it to get maybe your up to a 5-drop out soon or earlier, unless you can get something like Storm the Festival going online, but there's not really anything crazy. So I don't know, just spitballing ideas. Share. What do we got here? Another Blight Belly Rat. We've already been over this one, but Toxic, Proliferate, very good in draft if you're going to play it. The Necrogen Communion. It's an aura. It enchants a creature. It gives that creature Toxic 2, and when that enchanted creature dies, you return it to the battlefield under your control. So you put this on a body, it just keeps on looping, but it allows you to give it Toxic 2, so if that thing keeps swinging in, you just got to hit 5 times with just this card, and you win the game. It's a fever dream, but you know, it's a dream. The Cranker Bloom, we already went over this. This is the less pretty version of it, but again, sacrifice, pay 1, sacrifice the 3/2 for 2, destroy an artifact, destroy an enchantment, proliferate. Can't ask for any better. Voidwing Hybrid, this is the signpost card for the black and blue. Signpost cards mean that when the card is in the set, what Wizards likes to do is they print cards at uncommon that kind of tell you when you're drafting. They give you what's called a signal, and it tells you that if you're building around this deck if you're going with blue and black, the cards you want to try and focus on getting are gonna have Toxic, are gonna have Proliferate on them, and you want to keep around that synergy because you're gonna want to, in an ideal world, hit the opponent and then just keep proliferating the poison counter on them, because once they're on there, at least in this set, there isn't any way to remove them once they're on. So that's the idea of the blue-black. Bladed Ambassador enters with an oil counter. It allows you to remove it to make it become indestructible. Again, if you have Proliferate, you can keep that oil counter on it, and you can make sure that you always have a 3/1. It's a little above rate. It's a solid beater. It's a good card all in all if you want to make sure you keep your eye out for it in draft. Prophetic Prism allows you to draw a card, does some filtering. Nothing special. We've all seen it before. Forever King Universe, how you doing today? Hope it's going well. Thank you for joining us over here at Flynn's Arcade. Next up, Infectious Inquiry. 3 mana, you draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, but each opponent gets a poison counter. So it's a divination with upside. On the one hand, you lose 2 life. On the other hand, you get a poison counter. Or your opponent gets a poison counter, I'm sorry. Which then starts that whole cycle up again. A Basilisk, 1/3 with Death Touch and Toxic for 3 mana. It's alright, you're not writing home about it, it'll do what it needs to do. Aha, the Gulping Scrap Trap. A 5 mana 4/4 that when it enters or dies, proliferates. Big body, solid card. If you've got counters and everything on it already, it's a good card to keep in mind that you have in your deck. And an island. A very pretty island, but an island nonetheless. Next pack. La-da-dee, la-da-doo, la-da-da. Ah, boy. These chairs are terrible. No, I'm just messing with you. Nah, that's all good. Maybe next time that gray chair wouldn't be a bad call. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Look at that art. It's an elephant. It's an elephant. Now you don't know what it is. Anyway. Oh. Hey, I don't know what this is. Tanos? Tanos Urza's Apprentice is one of the list cards. That's what this little symbol in the corner means. It either means the list or a mystery booster. So, just something to keep in mind while you're going through packs yourself. This is originally from the Commander 18 precons. Back in the day, they used to make the pre-constructed decks. They still do to this day, and there's some powerful cards in there. But back when they were really trying to understand their footing, they went crazy with making the Commander decks. There was a cycle of mono black ones, I think, from not M13, Commander 13, I think, and it had the medallions in it. The Jet, Pearl, Ruby, Jet, Pearl, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald medallions in them. And it makes all spells of the green, red, white, blue, black cost 1 less. And they were just 2 mana artifacts, and they were insane. Anyway, back to this guy. A 2 mana 1/3 with haste. For a blue and a red, you tap it, copy target activated or triggered ability from a... Let me breathe. Hold on. For a blue and a red, tap him. Copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an artifact source. You may choose new targets for the copies. So, a red-blue artifact commander. Could be fun. I don't necessarily, it's not going to be an overly powerful call. It's not going to be something you're really writing home out. You got to make like infinite mana and untap shenanigans and do all that stuff. But hey, it's possible. Anything's possible in this world. Welcome, welcome. I'm Lalus. All right. Could have swore there was another one over there. Necrogen Communion, we already went over that, but this one is shiny. Next up. Oh, the Mirrex. The Mirrex, you can tap it for a colorless mana. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color, but only if it's entered the battlefield this turn. And for 3 mana and a tap, you can create a colorless Phyrexian Might with Toxic 1 and it can't block. So, very good card to have. If you're worried about doing a token deck, you could do it in a control deck to kind of pump out little 1/1s every turn. Something to keep in mind though, they can't block. So in other, Castle Ardenvale comes to mind as one of my personal favorites. It's from Throne of Eldraine. It would come in, you'd tap it for 4 and you'd create a 1/1 human. But the human could block as well. So this gives you the upside of Toxic, but takes away its blocking abilities. So just a little trade-off there. But if you needed bodies in Standard to sacrifice, it might be a good way to keep yourself refueled. Sinew Dancer. It's alright. It's a good tap-down little body and that cool artwork. The Incubation Sac. There's actually an infinite combo you can do. I don't know, well, not infinite combo, but there's a combo you can do where you can always ensure that every turn you're pumping out a 3/3 golem. You remove an oil counter from it and you get a 3/3 after it gets 3 counters on top of it. And it's a red artifact that's floating around. If we come across it, I'll point it back out, but this is a good card to have around, especially if you have the Proliferate, because you can always tap it for 4 every turn. In the late game, you're just making another 3/3, making another 3/3. So, the Retrofitter, it's a 2/3 for 3 mana with Toxic 1. Enters the battlefield, you tap up to 1 target artifact you control, and it becomes an artifact creature base power and toughness of 4/4 until this leaves the battlefield. We've seen this with, it was in M19, it was a wizard that animated artifacts that I can't remember the name of. But it's that. The Rib Skiff, a vehicle. Lets you draw a card when it enters the battlefield. It crews for 3, it's a 4/4 with Toxic. So what all of that means is for 4 mana, it enters the battlefield. You get to draw a card. After you draw a card, you can crew it for 3 power from creatures you control. You will then swing in and hopefully the person won't be able to hit you. You can also crew on your opponent's turn if you have something you need just a little bit more power and toughness for, and you can make it run into a 4/4 body. So, nice little card. Theorist we've already been over. If you want to see that, you can go ahead and rewind the VOD. Atmosphere Surgeon. This one allows you to give something flying at sorcery speed, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you can continue to put hold counters on it. Something to keep in mind if you're going for that red-blue creature-y deck. The Dross Pits. These are those tap lands I was talking about. You want to make sure that if it comes on in, you want to grab it so that you can have more card draw later on if you need it. The Dross Skull Bomb. Again, the Skull Bombs are all okay. The blue one's probably the best one. But this one allows you to put something from your graveyard to your hand and draw a card, or just draw a card in a pinch. Both solid abilities. The Grimnark here, the Cruel Grimnark, is a 5/5 with Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card, and for each one that can't, you actually gain 4 life. So in the late game in a black deck, if you don't have anything else going on, it's a good card to have. And a Schwamp. All right, next pack. Whew. So I got 2 options here, ladies and gentlemen. I'd be more than happy to hear everyone's input on this, but I've got a wife at home. And that wife at home loves Magic as well. She's the one who got me into the game. So the question is, do I keep going through and opening the entire pack here on stream for you lovely ladies and gents? Or do I not get killed when I get home tonight and let her open the rest of the box? Those are the questions that I need the answers to. So if anyone can give me those answers, that'd be greatly appreciated. With that said, it's a bird. All right. Ooh, going old school with it. The poison counter, the dreaded poison counter token. Yeah, this token was actually pretty up there because it was only printed in a handful of sets back in the day. I think the token itself got up to like $2-3, which for a token is actually pretty good because it's just a token. You play with it as an addition to your deck. You don't play with it to win the game, you know? So, just a nice little thing of lore there. All right. The foil Veil of Assimilation. We've seen it. It's cool. Moving on. Ooh. Another Planeswalker. We got Kaya, the Intangible Slayer. She is a 7-mana hexproof, 6 loyalty counters. If you +2, she gets to drain the opponent for 3 and you gain 3. You get to draw 2 cards. Then each opponent may scry 1. Or you can exile a target creature or enchantment. If it wasn't an aura, you create a copy of it that's flying on your side of the field. If you play this in draft, it is a bomb, but a bomb to be mindful of because you want to make sure you can keep her safe. I've had her in a draft I've done on Arena, and it was good, but it could have been a little bit better. And speaking of draft, we'll be hosting drafts here starting this Thursday, every Thursday, for $15. If you come on down, we'll give you 3 packs. We'll open them all up together. We'll pass them around. You'll build a little 40-card deck in the allotted time. Play against each other. There's a prize pool of 7-3-1-1. Would love to see you there. So come on down and let's play some Magic together. Quicksilver Fisher. It was that flyer that let you draw a card and discard a card, so let you loot. Solid card. The Annex Century. It is a 3-mana 4/1/4 with Toxic 1, and when it enters the battlefield, you can exile a artifact or creature with mana value 3 or less. In draft, it's a nice little piece of removal. Anywhere else, I don't know how good it's going to do you, but it's good in draft. And that's what we care about here. We care about the draft. I want you to draft some Magic cards. We have Distorted Curiosity. Has Corrupted. Costs 2 less to cast if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters. Corrupted is something we've been seeing on a lot of these cards. It's that ability where if your opponent has 3 or more poison counters, it does something better. It's the best way to think about it. You get to draw 2 cards, so it's either a Divination or a Preordain? I think Preordain lets you draw 2 for 1 mana. If you know for a fact, comment down below. All right, next up, we got Nahiri's Sacrifice. It is a 2-mana sorcery, 1 red. Additional cost, sacrifice a creature or artifact with mana value X, and then it deals X damage among creatures, among any number of target creatures. So, if you're sacrificing a really big thing, other than that, I really don't know what you're doing with this, to be honest with you. Now we're at the commons, the Glistening Seer. It's just the little scry one that a lot of the sets have. It's good. It's a solid little beginning of the game, holds back a little bit with the 3 toughness, and then allows you to scry for 3 turns. So very good. This is the unaltered art version of the Quillfish, the Quicksilver Fisher. How's everyone doing today? Seeing a bunch of people jumping on through. Good to see you, good to see you. We have the Sky Scythe Engulfer. It is a 6/5 reach trample, and it can't be blocked by creatures with flying. So it stays low and it just beats face. The Stinging Hive Master, very nice card. 3 mana, 3/2. Toxic 1, creates a 1/1 colorless might. When it dies, it's a nice body that'll give you something in return even after it leaves the battlefield. So, good card to play. Incisor Glider has that corrupted keyword, so it gives everything +1/+1 as long as you have 3 or more poison counters. Very nice card to have. Flying, all in all, solid card. If you're playing white, why not have it? And then if you're also playing white, you can play this Plains in it. Look how pretty that is. Although I think the other one was prettier because it was foiled. Sure. Next pack. Let's see if we can get... And what do you think? Let's do... Just because I want to see the smile on my wife's face when I get home, we've got, let's give it 8 more packs. Let's see if we got 8 more packs to go through to give 8? Such a weird number. Yeah, we'll do it. 8 packs to go through to really see if we can pull this Elish Norn. And if we can, that's going in the highlight reel. Eddie, keep that in mind. Highlight reel, Elish Norn. That's what you're looking for. Look at that art. Look at that art card. Very pretty. Okay. So, here's what we're going to do. Well, you weren't supposed to see that yet, but look at that card. Here's a token. Token's cool. But look at that. Oh. The Malcautor? Purity Overseer. 3 mana, 1/1. When the Overseer enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token. And then if 3 or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control, you'll create another 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem. In draft, he'll give you another body. That's great. If you happen to have a ton of artifacts, I would say go for it. However, with the amount of artifacts there are, don't really know if this is it. But very pretty card. Look at that shine. Look at that shine. Very nice. And now we've got the Filigree Silex, a 2-mana legendary artifact. It is a Ratchet Bomb, for those who don't know the older school Magic cards. It's a card that still sees some fringe play in Modern. It is a Well, you can read it here. It does essentially the same things, except it's not legendary. But 2 mana, you put an oil counter on it by tapping it, and you can keep ticking it up until it's at the exact amount you need, and then you can sacrifice this to destroy everything with the mana value of the counters on it. Or if you keep ticking it up, you can remove 10 oil counters from a Margate and deals 10 damage to any target. So you can either, if you go past the counters on it that you would need, you can keep continuing to grow and grow and grow until eventually you can just bash your opponent's face in for 10. So something fun to think about there. All right, what do we got? Next up, we have the Furnace Punisher. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, it deals 2 damage to that player unless they control 2 or more basic lands. So not a terrible card, not a great card, just a card. But a 3 mana 3/3, not bad. Necrosito. Necrosito. We've got a flyer. We've got 4 mana, and it comes in with 2 oil counters on it. It gets +1/+1 for each oil counter on it. And whenever another creature or artifact you control goes to the graveyard, you put an oil counter on it. So for everything that dies, gets bigger, gets bigger, gets bigger, 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 bigger. Biggity, biggity, biggity. Next up, we have the Armored Scrap Gorger. This is a 2 mana 0/3 that allows you to add 1 mana of any color, but he can become bigger when you exile cards from a graveyard and put oil counters on him. So it doesn't matter what the card is, you can just keep tapping it, adding a mana, and when it's tapped, it gets a little big, it gets another counter, gets another counter, gets another counter, until eventually, boom. Perfect timing. Until eventually, boom, it gets 3 oil counters on it, +3, and it'll be good stuff. The Evolving Adaptive, 1 mana 0/0, does something similar to the Necrosito, that it will get +1/+1 for each oil counter on it. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has power or toughness greater than the adaptive, you put an oil counter on it. So it will continuously grow as you're going to play a 2 powered creature on turn 2. And it just has to have power or toughness greater. So it could go either way. But if you have something that is bigger, it will continue to grow. Harry Hood, how's it going? Chef Astrius. The Mark. We have a 4 mana 4/1 with Testament Bearer. You look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 into your hand, the rest in the graveyard. It's a ransacked lab on a body. The Cutthroat Centurion. Again, we're not really going through the commons because, let's be honest, we're here for the shiny rares, and that's all we're really looking for. I will stop on this though. The prologue to Pheresis. Each opponent getting an oil counter is very nice. You're getting to draw a card. It is actually one of the main cards right now for a disgusting either mono blue or Dimir deck right now that is going through standard and just either countering, stopping your opponent, giving an oil counter, stopping your opponent, give an oil counter, boom, 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 proliferate, ba, ba, ba. And another planes. All right, we got more packs. Oh, my back. My time has come. It's the worst ASMR you ever heard in your life, huh? I've had so much do. All right. What do we got in the docket now? Boom. We've got For Meriden. Ooh, it has a signature. Boom, look at that signature. Look at that signage. Pretty stuff. So, we've got a list card. We've got the Pledge of Loyalty. Enchanted creature has protection from the colors of permanents you control. This effect doesn't remove the Pledge of Loyalty. What that's essentially saying is protection is a lot like hexproof in the fact that it can't be targeted by abilities or anything usually of a specific color. You can get protection from artifacts, from this, from that, but generally it was always used for protection from green, protection from blue, protection from whatever. And that also counts for you as well. So it was a weaker version of what became hexproof, which hexproof was too far in the other direction, so they created ward to kind of be that middle ground between it. They'll still use protection for certain things to kind of be able to sneak through damage. But yeah, these little cards are great for little history lessons through Magic. You know? So we're going to add that to the fun pile. This pile. All right, we have the Siklov Battle Chair. 6 mana, 4 Mirrodin, +4/+4, and Trample. So it comes in with a 2/2 that becomes a 6/6 for 6 mana. Its equip cost is extremely high, but normally a 6/6 with Trample, you're doing pretty good. It's a Colossal Dreadmaw you can eventually move around if need be. So we all love Colossal Dreadmaw anyway, so it's good to know. What was that? Thought it moved around behind me. Just a good card to keep in hand. Next up, we have the Conduit of Worlds. You may play lands from your graveyard for 4 mana. Lands from your graveyard. Already we're off to a good start. It's like a Crucible of Worlds, only it's a Conduit. You can then tap and choose a target non-land permanent card from your graveyard. If you haven't cast a spell this turn, you may cast that card. If you do, you can't cast additional spells this turn. So, a Crucible of Worlds is a colorless artifact for 3 that allows you to play cards from your graveyard. It's great. Honestly, I can't remember at this exact second if it does anything better. If anyone knows out there, let me know. This one allows you to also cast a spell if you've run out of stuff to do in your hand, if you've run out of things like that. So it's a solid card to have. Some people were worried it was going to take over some things. I think the 4 mana on it and being 2 green is going to hold that back a bit, because that usually isn't a color that necessarily wants to play with the graveyard when it's at its best, if that makes sense. So, something big to keep in mind there. We have the Blight Belly Rat. We've been over it 1,000 times. I now have a playset of all different types and styles, so that's cool. The Cinder Slash Ravager. This guy, I don't like. Costs 1 less to cast for each permanent you control with an oil counter on it. That's great. And then on top of that, when he enters the battlefield, deals 1 damage to each creature your opponents control. So if you happen to, I don't know, the turn before play a big old spell that wipes the board and makes a bunch of 1/1 mites, and you think you're going to swing in the next turn and beat someone in the face, and then they play this guy, and the next thing you know, you're getting your entire board wiped out because, you know, they're all 1/1s. So that's cool. And you definitely don't want to immediately throw your laptop across the room in a fit of rage. No, 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 no. No, you don't want to be that guy. Anyway. So. What was he talking about? 6 mana, that thing. 6 mana, 5/5. Good card. Strong card. Powerful card. Good card. Run the card. The Ickerplate Golem. Creatures you control with oil counters get +1/+1, and something that'll come in with an oil counter comes in with an additional 1. If you got the oil counters, if you see this card, grab this card. You're going to want to play this card. Atraxa Skitterfang, we went over it before, but just to go over it again, a 3 mana 2/2 with upside isn't bad. You remove a counter from it, give something flying, vigilance, death touch, or lifelink. All solid, all great. We love every bit of it. Now we're into the commons again. Stratinal Slinger, Crawling Chorus, good 1/1 for 1, toxic. People are trying to play it in standard now because it leaves a body behind once it dies. Solid card. Charge of the Mites, 3 damage to anybody and proliferate, great, but I think we care more, honestly, about that pretty land. Oh, so pretty. Honestly, the full art lands, they kind of keep like coming in waves for me. So every set since, I want to say, wasn't Ixalan, it was past Ixalan. Dominaria? No. There was a set that had the full art lands, and it took it and then proceeded to run with them. I know Zendikar is one of the first ones, but I'm talking about when the trend started where every set that came out immediately had more and more lands. Tony, nice to see you. Along with you, Milo? Sure. Yeah. And I lately, I don't know which one has the prettiest lands. Let's see, we got 6 more packs here, folks. 6 more packs to see what we can do. We're looking for the Elishnorn. That's what the goal is. The hunt for Elishnorn. All right. Lovely art card. That's Vorinclex sitting on top. I can never tell how big he is because they keep changing his art in each one. And the card of the day is... It's a common. It's a common. It's a common foil. It's a good little beater. 2/2, 3. Let something come in and get +2/+2 in vigilance or proliferate. Other than that, good card. Blade of Shared Souls. This one is... I didn't care for it when I played with it. If you can make it work, by all means, show me something cool. Put it in the Discord. You know, we got one of those lying around. If you go to Flynn's Arcade, if you look us up on the Discords, Flynn's Flynn, what is the Discord called? I'm having a brain fart here for a minute. Hang on, ladies and gentlemen. The Grid at Flynn's. That's what you're looking for. That's the Discord. You want to join the Discord. You have any Magic questions, you come talk to me. I'm in the Magic under the TCG tab. Magic the Gathering, you can go ahead, add me there. I'm known as the Flourish user. Join me there, ask me questions. I'll be more than happy to answer anything you got. With that said, the Blade of Shared Souls. When it comes to the battlefield, you can have it copy something you already have on the battlefield that this is equipped to. So if you want more of a good thing, but in draft you really never have more of a good thing. For 3 mana, 2/2, it's not bad. It has the 4 Mirrodin, so it gets a Rebel. I don't much care for it myself, but still a rare, so we like rares. And who knows, one day it might do something crazy. We got a Sky Hunter Strike Force. So this actually isn't from this exact set. This is from the Commander set for Phyrexia All-Be-One. It is a 3 mana 2/2 Cat Knight with melee, flying, and lieutenant. So what any of those words mean, if you don't know. Flying is a term for creatures that literally fly in the air over your opponents. So if you don't have something with flying, you can't block these creatures. But you can if they have reach, because they can now reach the things with flying. So unless they have flying or reach, they cannot be touched. It also has melee. Whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each opponent you attack this combat. So if you send multiple, if you're playing a game of Commander, you can have up to 4 players you're playing against. If you send creatures at all 3 of your opponents, this creature is going to become a 5/5 in the air. And as long as you control your commander, which means on the battlefield, as well as this card, other creatures you control also have melee. So as you're swinging in with everything to everybody, everything will proceed to get buffed up. Very good if you have a mono-white, as it's called, mono-white weenie strategy. It's a very solid card to put in the deck. It's nothing really to write home about, but if you're looking for something for 3 mana slot, it's not a bad pick. Sure. Hey, another Snoo Dancer. The Prosthetic Injector, a 1 mana, 1 equipped artifact that gives +2 to toughness and toxic 1. You can't ask for any better of an artifact. It's a very solid equipment to have in your deck. I personally like it. And if you're looking for something in a pinch, it's not a bad card to grab. We also have the Reject Imperfection. You counter target spell for 3 mana. So it's cancel, but with an upside. It allows you to proliferate if the countered spell was 3 or less in mana value. So, just a better counterspell. If you don't have something to proliferate, just counter the spell. Don't be scared. Don't hold on to your stuff just because you're worried. You think that one day you'll get a better card. It ain't gonna happen. Vivisection Evangelist for 5 mana 4/4 with Vigilance. This is one of those signpost uncommons we were talking about earlier. It has Corrupted. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters, you can destroy a target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. So it's leaning heavily into the toxic, which every color pretty much has, but I think white and black have the same amount pretty much, but you're building a more aggro strategy getting in and then having this as the high end of that curve. The Indoctrination Attendant, if you're going to build that particular deck that we were just talking about, this is one you might want to grab because it has Toxic 1, and when it enters the battlefield, you can return another permanent. So it doesn't just have to be a creature. It could be a land, it could be an artifact, it could be an enchantment, something or other. You can bounce it back to your hand. And if you do, you create a 1/1 Might with the Toxic 1 can't block, but it's a 3/4. So you get a good trade-off. Maybe you want to get your enchantment back, you used it to get rid of a creature, and you want to play it again. You know, that Ossification I talked about earlier. Great combo with this. Just things to keep in mind, keep your eye out for as you come on down to Flynn's Arcade in Margate to draft with me. Next up, we have Things in the Way. There we go. Hey, we got more people jumping on in. How's everyone doing today? We have the Eye of Malcator. Malcator. Sure. When it enters the battlefield, you scry 2, and whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, this becomes a 4/4. If you're looking for a card in an artifact deck, here it is. If not, do not worry about it. Ain't that great. Now this one, on the other hand, the Malakor's Watcher, something that you'll want to play a lot of because the white-blue in the set is a more aggro-central color combo. So it has Flying Vigilance, and when it dies, you draw a card. Can't get any better than that. So you just keep swinging in for 1, swinging in for 1. If you need to sacrifice something, you get a card to replace it. It's a good, solid card. The Ichor Synthesizer, cannot speak highly enough of this card. If you're playing non-creature spells, and a lot of them, keep this in your deck. You will get it big. You will get a 3/3 that cannot be blocked. You want this card in your deck. And now we've got a Forest. And then there were 4. So we're on, this is pack, counting down from 5. How's everyone doing today? Hope you're all doing all right. I feel like I didn't drink enough water today. But we live. That's what we do. What is this? This is a spider? What is it? What is that? Hold on. Oh, I think that's Kaido. See that right there? See that little, see if I can get that to the camera for you. Look at the little panda dude. It's got a panda on it. I feel like that's something that's bigger on a parch. Yep, Kaido, Dancing Shadow. See, I have what's called a problem. And the only solution is more magic cards. All right. Phyrexian Furnace as the list card. What do we got? A 1 mana artifact. Remove the bottom card Remove the bottom card of target player's graveyard from the game. Ew. Sacrifice it, remove target card from in any graveyard from the game, and draw a card. So back in the day, you'll notice the wording on this is weird. It says remove the bottom card from target player's graveyard. Well, that's weird. Why would I care about the bottom card? It's the graveyard. That just gets moved around constantly. Well, back in the day, in the early days of Magic, you had to keep track of a lot. It was like early D&D. You had way more stuff than was necessary just to play a game. So you had to keep the graveyard in a certain order because there were cards that referenced the second card from the bottom, the 5th card in, the 4th card from the top of even your graveyard. So because of that, it referenced certain things. So that's a nifty little piece of Magic trivia / history that I personally like to unveil. And you see right underneath that, we've got Whapa! Whapa! No, that was actually not as eventful as I thought it was going to be, but still a shiny card. Cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on it, remove the oil counter, give something flying. You can't beat it. It's 2 mana, 2/1. It's a good card, solid card. Ho 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 ho! Oh, it was a tease for what was hiding underneath. So we have one of the Phyrexian horrors. Tekuthal. Inquiry Dominus. It's a legendary creature, Phyrexian horror, flying. If you would proliferate twice instead. You can pay 1 and 2 blue Phyrexian mana, remove 3 counters from among artifacts, creatures, and planeswalkers you control, and give him indestructible. With that, something to be mindful of, again, Phyrexian mana can be paid with either life or the color it represents. So you can pay with blue or 2 life if you're in a pinch. So you can give this guy indestructible as long as you've had a little build up to him. He's not like some of the other guys who are a little easier to make indestructible. But still, if you're looking for a mono blue proliferate card, this might be something to look into. Boop. We got the Sawblade Scamp. Allows you to, it's a 1 mana, haste, 1/1. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter onto him. He can remove 1 to deal 1 damage to each opponent. Good card. Good card. The Bonepicker Scourge, solid card in black. It looks very different from what its other drafting is, so try and remember the names more than the actual artwork, because some of the artwork might be different when you get it. But it is corrupted, so 3 or more poison counters, and it will get Death Touch and Lifelink. So a flyer with Death Touch, Lifelink at 2/2, it's not bad. It'll keep you in the game for a little while longer, and also keep it back if you want to block something and kill someone. Or something someone has. The Celiphoid Sentry we talked about before at the beginning of this. Artifacts you control has the power of that. Not really something to write home about. This one, pay 2 life, -1/-1 to target creature. Good to remove the board. We already talked about that artifact. This little Chrome Prowler I'll talk about for a second. It's a 3/2 with flash. Enters the battlefield, you tap a target creature an opponent controls. So at your end step, bring something in. Looks good. And once it's in, tap something down. Be able to get through for the 3 or maybe something else you have at your disposal. We already talked about this, but can't stress enough. If you see this in draft, grab it and draft, especially if you're in blue. Don't splash for it, but if you're in it already, grab it. It gives proliferate. It taps down a creature. It does everything you want it to do. It's great. It's fantastic. Can never have enough. We just went over this, except he looked different. But remove a counter, damage each opponent. It's great. This buffs up creatures. We don't really care about those. They're combat tricks. They're great, but I don't think there's anything in this set that cares too much about combat tricks. And a Purdy Island. Next pack. Oh, what a beautiful morning. You want to open a pack? You want to open a pack, Senpai? It's tempting. It's addictive. We got the bird. Actually, coincidentally, that bird we were just looking at. All right, don't worry, because this right here, this is where we're getting the Hellish Norn. Ready? Right there. It wasn't the Hellish Norn. But it is a mirror, a Phyrexian mirror. And actually, these are going up in price right now because of the hype around the Phyrexian Legendary that got released. In the new Phyrexia All Be One precons, there is a mirror that is a 5 mana mirror, or 5 colored mana, Wooburg Commander. There usually is one for every set. And any mirrors you have, if you have a collection, if you're into selling and trading, by all means, go out. You can go online, go to buy lists, and you can dump your mirrors, because right now there are people trying to get up as much as they can so they can resell them. So if you're into the hype right now, if you're into getting all that, it'll probably last for maybe another 2-3 weeks, and then it'll die down. If you're into the MTG stocks, which are essentially just, it's like watching the stock market, except for Magic cards, so it's a lot more interesting. Yeah, you can actually play it like the stock market. And this is a foil alternate art for a mirror, which is much like, it falls in that same camp as slivers or zombies or vampires. If it's a tribe and people like it, especially when it's one solely for Magic, people will eat it up, go nuts about it. It has toxic, it's a 2/1, and you pay 2 life to get man of any color. It's great. Hey, look at you. Merlia, Morelia? I cannot remember her name. Melira, that's it. Melira, the Living Cure. So it doesn't remove the counters, but each turn you can only get 1 counter instead, is what that block of text says. And you can exile her, and then choose another target creature artifact. And when it's put into the graveyard this turn, you return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So a good way to maybe save something your opponent stole from you. A good way to keep something alive that you want to keep alive. You know, all that fun stuff. Another alternate art mirror. So I'm going to be probably trying to dump these a little bit later. Plated Onslaught, not a fantastic card, but one to keep in mind if you're playing those colors. Again, Infested Flesh Cutter, not crazy. This one isn't too bad. A little swooping outlook. 1 mana, 1/2 with flying and vigilance. Vigilance is always it's the lowest evergreen keyword that exists as far as being able to deal with other things that are going on. But it's good to keep in mind when, especially when on a flyer, because it can just stay in the air and just also stay up for a block if need be. To jump block and your opponent's tapped down, then you swing past them. Mandible, I've already talked about. This one gets a little bigger with each artifacts. This one's another good card to keep an eye out for. If you play it in your draft deck, you'll probably do a lot better than if you didn't. Predation Steward enters with 2 oil counters, and you can remove 1 to give a target creature +2/+2. 2 mana, 2/2 with upside, never bad. So if you're building a green deck, something to keep your eye on. The Hunter Maze, same deal. If you're running green, you want to try and if you can grab a land that lets you draw a card, even if it comes in tapped and you're in draft, go for it. Drawing an extra card late in the game is never a bad idea. And then, oof. That's pretty. Wish it were foil, but I'll take a non-foil pretty land any day. And then there were 3. While I'm opening this pack up, might as well get some announcements out of the way. In case you haven't heard me say it about 70 times already, if you've been for me the whole time. Starting this Thursday, the 23rd, for $15, you can come on down to Flynn's Arcade in Margate, Florida, and you can draft with us for $15. You'll get 3 packs, you'll open it up, we'll draft them all around, and we will have a grand old time. The prize support for it is 7311. Winner takes 7. Next place 3, and then just for jumping on in and playing with us, you'll get a pack to go home with. We'd love to see you there. We really want to build this community up. We want to see everybody's smiling faces, and we want to have a good time here with you guys playing a game that we all enjoy. We already do D&D, might as well get Magic in on it, you know? So, look at that card. Look at that, Myra. Oh, there's a cosplay for you. Any cosplayers out there in the world? By all means. Power, staff, she can hit people. That's what it is. Well, that's an interesting one. Okay, so the list card for this set is actually from Strixhaven. That's not a set that was released too far back. I believe it's only been, well, I guess it was last rotation, so I think it was 2021 when this came out, late 2021. This particular one is an interesting one. For 3 mana, you deal 3 damage to each opponent you control, and then after you have 4 cards of this, I can't remember if it's 4 or 5. You may exile Dragon's Approach and 4 cards. So you need to have 5 copies of this, which is 1 over the normal amount. And then you can search your library for a dragon card and put it onto the battlefield. So you can do a little mill shenanigans, stuff like that to kind of fill your bin, and then you cast this and am able to sneak out a little dragon relatively quickly. Just something fun to keep in mind. But we have the Cacophony Scamp. Deals combat damage to a player. You may sacrifice it. It is a 1 mana 1/1. If you do sacrifice it, you can proliferate. When it dies, you deal damage to any target equal to its power. Oof. The Copperline Gorge. I will never be upset at lands. I used to be upset at opening rare lands. I really was. But as you start collecting and your collection gets bigger and bigger and bigger, I promise you, the lands are never a bad thing to open. Snack City Chick, how's it going tonight? We got the Mama Blog, Mama Guy Blog, how's it going? Lex, Pablo, good to see everyone. Oh. Okay, hold that thought. This card, if you pull land, don't be upset about it. You'll want the land, I promise you. You're going to want it for your commander deck, you're going to want it for something. You'll always be happy with pulling a land. With that said, hey look, a Planeswalker, that's really cool art. It is Tyvar, it's one we already went over. This card could spike up. I don't know if with the alternate art if that's going to actually help or hurt it, but it'll be interesting to see and find out. Sure. We're going to move past that, but wow. We have the Scourge. We have the Gleeful Diminution. 1 damage, destroy target artifact, and if you controlled that artifact, you create 3 red Phyrexian Goblin creature tokens. So just a nice way to... I think this is actually a reprint of an old card. I don't know if they were Phyrexian Goblins, though. It might be a reference, but there was something similar to the same effect. I don't think they were Phyrexian, though. I think it was just 3 red goblins back from the original Mirrodin set, which is coincidentally what the plane of Phyrexia is before it turned into a mess. The Exuberant Fuseling. It's a goblin, Phyrexian Goblin Warrior, 1 mana, 0/1. It gets +1 for each oil counter on it. It has Trample, and whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you put an oil counter on him to give it +1. He can get really big and out of hand very fast. The Fair Basilica, great card again. Make sure you grab them when you're doing the drafts. The Maze Skull Bomb, probably the least efficient of all of the ones that are there. Not efficient, but the least impactful. Usually if you're in green, you're focusing on other stuff, you're not really worried about getting the artifacts. So if you're in a pinch, grab it. I mean, it gives 3/3 and trample, never bad unless you refill your hand drawing a card. But, you know, I got better stuff to do in my time. Then we got the Maze's Mantle. It's an aura. It gets things bigger. We have the 2 mana 3/1 with Toxic 2. So if you need a good 2 mana something or other, grab it. And a Shiny Forest. Alright, we're down to 2. 2 more packs. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 more packs. Shandell, how you doing? How is it going, boys? If anybody watches a lot of MTG content, you'll get that reference. There. Open sesame. Okay. Now this is a good sign. That's Elish Norn, which means we're going to pull Elish Norn right behind this pack. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be here to enjoy it. A little ad for MTG Arena, which is what we'll be playing in the next 2 weeks when we come back for the stream. But here is Elish Norn. Man, it would blow your mind if it was, though. Huh? All right, we got the Char Forger. 3 mana, 2/3, and when it enters the battlefield, you create a red 1/1 red Phyrexian Goblin creature token. Whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you put a 1/1 counter on it. You can remove 3 counters from them to exile the top card of your library, and you may play that card this turn. So he just, like in the art, starts plooping out some Phyrexian goblins. Good little card to have. What are you? Oh. All right. We'll take. Oop, nope, that's not the pile. There we go. All right, we have Vron, the Executioner Thane. He is a Phyrexian vampire, legendary creature. He is a nerfed blood artist, but I think people aren't giving him as much credit as they should, because he is a 2-mana 2/2, so he's on rate, which means that for each power and toughness, you're paying that much mana. So if you're paying 2 mana, you should expect to get a 2/2. If I'm paying 1 mana, I should get a 1/1. 3 mana, 3/3, 4 mana, 4/4, blah, 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 blah. And if either of those are changed, you're getting the mind of what's different, you know? So, you know, it could be a 2 mana 2/1. Well, that's because they want you to a little more aggro with it, because they want you to interact with it more on the field. Or if it's a 1/2, they want you to kind of hold it back, be a little more defensive of a creature, you know? It's storytelling through numbers. It's great. It's fantastic. Anyway. When one or more other creatures you control dies, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. This ability only triggers once per turn. So, this will, again, it only triggers once per turn, which means that you're not going to get 70 triggers off of one shot. You can only get 1 trigger. So, you'll drain someone for 2 and they'll gain 2, but it can happen each turn. So if you have some way to keep repeatedly, if you just can keep the board clear each turn, you are keeping pressure on the entire time. So it's not a bad card to have. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be anybody's bread and butter, but it'll be a cheap little pickup. If you're just getting into the game, maybe you want to build a standard deck, that's what I like to keep my eye on too. This is going to be a bulk rare. I would be shocked if it wasn't, but it's going to be a bulk rare. 25 cents will get you the card. For a 2 mana 2/2 legendary creature that has a little drain effect to kind of teach yourself the game and stuff before you get into the higher echelons of it and really intricate gameplay. Hey, it's good. It's a good card to grab, man. Rustfine Cultivator, we've gone over. It's a pretty card. We just went over this guy. And Foil, Magmatic Sprinter, I don't think we've gone over. Has haste. You put 2 oil counters on target creature you control when it enters the battlefield. At the beginning of your end step, you return it to its owner's hand unless you remove 2 oil counters from it. So, So unless you put the oil counters on it, you will end up putting it back into your hand, but you can continue to put oil counters on other things. Okay, that's actually not too bad. Had to think that one through for a second. What do we got going on over here? I see a bunch of things moving. We got Action Figure Out and Darth Art jumping in the stream today. How you doing, guys? Hope you're having a good time, enjoying the cards you're seeing. We got Urabrath's Anointer. Enters the battlefield. It deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of permanents you control with oil counters on them. It's a 4 mana 4/2. The Basilica Skull Bomb. We already went over this one before, but it gives 2/2 and flying if you sacrifice it for 3. If you sacrifice for 1, you get to draw a card. Zealot's Conviction, not really anything crazy. Duelist Heap of Faith, Carnivorous Canopy, Thirsting Roots. These are not anything to really write home about at a Purdy land. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the final card, reaching the 2-hour mark here at Flynn's Gaming. The time flies when you are opening cards. Sure. We have the Mondrak. That is the white version of the big proliferate Phyrexian horror that we opened earlier. So cool card, cool card. And we will now put that right there. And when I pull this back, it will be Elish Norn. Got my hopes up too. What was that alternate art? Actually, this is the pretty art of the Vran we were just talking about. So this one won't be 25 cents. This will at least be $1 just because of the artwork on it alone and the finish of it. So keep your eye out for it. Very pretty card. very cool to pull. The Monument of Perfection. 2 mana to cast. 3 mana tap. Search your library for a basic sphere or locust card and reveal it and put it into your hand and then shuffle. So for 3 mana, you can just repeatedly put a card into your hand. So it's not bad by any means. And then for 3 mana, it becomes a 9/9 Phyrexian Construct, loses all abilities and gains Indestructible and Toxic 9. You can only activate this if you have 9 or more lands with different names among the basic sphere and locust lands you control. So this can become a very big Phyrexian creature with Indestructible. And it will continue to find you the lands that you're looking for. I think this is going to do more work than people are giving it credit for, at least in a fun build. I mean, it's a good way to pump everything up and get, especially in colors that maybe don't have access to it as well, like maybe a mono black deck or something like that. But honestly, you're probably going to need more than just mono black unless you're playing a lot of utility lands, because you need the lands with different names. So, something to be mindful of. And then we have the Bone Picker Scourge, which we went over. Oh, wow. Okay, so I don't know if you remember, but at the very beginning of the stream, there was that green card. In fact, I think I'm going to find it. Because that green card works perfectly in conjunction with this one, which is right over here. Where you at, buddy? Come on. There we go. Okay. Boop. So, you have here 2 cards. You have an Incubation Sac. Let me see if I can get them both on screen here real quick. Let me put that over there. Put that over here. Okay. So, these 2 cards kind of work together in a weird way. Not a weird way, but for 1 red, at the beginning of your upkeep, you put an oil counter on another target non-token artifact creature you control. Trying to give it a better view for the people who are watching this on Instagram or the TikToks. So once we put, this enters the battlefield with 3 oil counters on it. This can give an oil counter to the Incubation Sac. So at the beginning of the upkeep, you can continuously add the 1 to it and remove that 1 every turn. It's for 4 mana. So if you manage to come across both of these cards, I would recommend pulling both of these cards. That'd be my personal suggestion. You can do whatever you'd like. I can't force you to do anything, but I would be shocked if you didn't do it. Sure. Resistant Skywarden, a 5 mana, 5/5 with Menace and Reach. It's just a good red beater. If you're playing cards that want to hit face, play this card. It's a good card. How's it going, Bad good? We have Affinity for equipments. This thing can come down if you're playing a heavy equipment deck. It's an Ogre Rebel, 7 mana, 7/5, but can be cheaper for each equipment you control, and it gains Trample. We've got the Apostle of Invasion, has Double Strike, another Ossification, which I'm very happy to see. I would love a play set of these before the day is done. A Mirror, again, Mirror's very big right now. If you can get a bunch of them, you can dump them all off and sell them and make lots of money. Oh, look, another mirror. Bet you the mirror under that. Wow. Nope, Terramorphic Expanse. And planes. Well, we didn't quite find the Elish Norn, but that's okay. You know why that's okay? Because it's about that time in the evening. Oh, now it's this one. Still figuring out which ones do what. Okay. But let me jump over here right quick. How you doing, Jesse James? Good to see you. I'm actually going to be wrapping up the stream right about now. Just got a couple of notes. I might bug maybe. Okay. I've got a couple notes I want to go over real quick before I finish up the stream, but that's about where I'm going to call it myself. So, we have, I just want to go over again the drafts that we are going to be holding here. Oh, let me change this right here. There we go. For those who are watching on mobile, you can see down below here, Thursday night, draft, 7 p.m. here at Flynn's Arcade in Margate. I'll be hosting the event. We will be drafting Phyrexia All Will Be One. $15 gets you 3 packs. We'll open them all up together. Prize pool is 7311. We'll need 8 players to play in the draft, so we'd love to see you come out. We have plenty of cards, so don't worry about if you're worried that we're just getting into it, so we won't have enough. I promise you we will have enough. You'll be able to play. So come on down Thursday the 23rd at 7 p.m. We're going to have a fun old time, and I'd love to see you come down. I'd love you to come play a game with us. Number 2, we also have the Discord. Join the Flynn's Arcade Discord. It is available in all of the links. Click them, go to them, join it. If you have any questions, you can come and ask me. If you have any questions about magic, I'm on the Magic section on the TCG tab, but it's a lovely place to come hang out and chat about all sorts of kinds of different things. There's all kinds of different venues. There's all sorts of tournaments and stuff always going on here, so come check it out. That's the best place to be informed of all the different events and everything going on here at Flynn's Arcade. And lastly, we have the Fighter Fest happening April 29th. It is the regional. I don't have much more on that one in particular. I was just told to tell you about it. So Fighter Fest, April 29th, the regional. Would love to see you come on out. Come out to support, come out and play. Would love to see you here regardless. We just want you to spend your time with us and have a good old time doing it. So with that said, I'm actually going to sign off for tonight. And I will see you all next Monday. Not next Monday. I keep doing that. I will see you Thursday first and foremost, coming to play the drafts and hanging out. Love to see you. 7 p.m. until close. Be playing all night. And then, not next Monday, but the following Monday, we'll be doing a meta review, checking in on where Standard's at, and we'll actually be playing a little MTG Arena, something I'm looking forward to and playing with everybody here. So if you want to come on down, check it out. We'll go over the meta, see what the top decks are, see if I can get some budget brews in there. And if you got any suggestions for decks you want to see on stream going forward, throw them in there. I'll give them a review, and if you're lucky, we'll see them up on the stream, you know? So I'm going to say there, signing off. Have a nice one, all right?